Hello, Africa. You're welcome to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices Show. This is a show that tackles issues pertaining to women as they contribute to national development. How have you been? I am so happy and excited to be meeting you all once again. If you're just joining us, well, we're happy to meet you for the very first time. But this show actually is broadcast live on ETV Ghana as well as on our Facebook page. So if for any reason you need to leave your TV sets, do not worry. Just go onto Facebook and then continue watching us on the go. The show is proudly brought to you by very responsible brands, Chanasheto, Ghana's #1 pepper sauce. If you have not tried it, you need to really try Chanasheto. You know, we've got the very hot and spicy variant and the very mild one for those who don't really like it spicy. And the phone number to be able to reach Chana is right now at the base of your screen. It's also an opportunity to a lot of women who are looking for an extra income stream. You buy Chanasheto at a very friendly price and you'll be able to sell it because it moves. People will definitely buy. Do not forget that Mother's Day is very much around the corner and there's going to be a lot of eating, drinking, partying and all of that and sharing. So buy Chanasheto and share with friends and loved ones, okay? I've also got another responsible brand that is really watching my back, and that is Lizzie's Tomato Mix. Lizzie's Tomato Mix also has made it possible for every kind of food you're preparing that needs tomato to taste really good. Be it your abenkwan, your nkatenkwan, your stew, your light soup. Even some people use tomatoes for okra. It will be very nice in a jollof rice, the main. If you want your jollof rice to be the best of the best, use Lizzie's Tomato Mix to prepare it, and you will be telling everyone the story of how people in your family, your friends, your loved ones enjoyed your cooking. In fact, you even love to go to the kitchen much more because you know that anytime you go in there and you use Lizzie to do stuff, you always come out a champion and a winner. Also, my hair has been put together by Awo's Hair. You can find her on Instagram and on Facebook at Awo's Hair. Give her a call and she can give you a customized service as you would want it. A lot of times, mothers, when we put to bed, we are wondering how do we fix our hair up because people will be coming around to say, oh, congratulations, and maybe your hair is not looking good. Don't worry, Awo can come home and sort you out, okay, and you look really good. Pick up her number and give her a call. And she is not the last, but I always love to save the best for the last. Look at my outfit. So beautiful and very colorful. Afariwa Styles, you always do the best for me. Thank you for this outfit. I am loving it. You can locate Afariwa Styles physically and also online at afariwa.styles on Instagram and on Facebook. Take up her number right now and give her a call because she's into contemporary ladies and gents outfits. Once you move into her showroom located at Osu or along the Teshinungwa Road at the container bus stop on the Rasta Road. If you just get there, you will find her beautifully located there. Step in, fit the dresses, the one that works, you just move out with it. She's also gotten gift vouchers. So if you've not given somebody something for this Mother's Day, well, you could try out a gift voucher from Afariwa Styles, and you'll be gifting the person exactly what she wants or even he wants, because in terms of color, style, taste, the person will walk in with a voucher and choose whatever it is that works for him or her. Thank you so much to all my responsible brands that have been watching my back. If you're watching me right now and you want to join as a sponsor, give us a call and we will talk to you and ensure that the word you've got within your brand will be sent to people out there. All right, enough of the talking. We have seated right next to me our professor, the one we celebrated just recently. Remember on our Facebook pages, we showed you a nurse who just rose to the ranks and today is the first professor here in Ghana from the University of Ghana, and we are so excited about it. Today we made her come and talk to us about what she's been doing, and also I've read some of her articles and it's been really wonderful. After reading those articles, we agreed we're going to discuss socio-cultural issues around pregnancy and labor. You see that Mother's Day is coming around, so with this coming, we want to also address the issues around birthing, you see, because to be a mother, you need to birth. and there are so many issues around it. But today, she's going to talk to us about it and take off all those fears that you've been nursing. Trust me, if you hear her speak, you're going to really enjoy the conversation. So please call your friends and tell them that Professor Lydia Aziato is here. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We are so happy to have you, seriously. And you know, a lot of times men don't like to blow their trumpets. We are always very reserved and stuff. But for African Women's Voices show, if we hear it, we would definitely tell the world about it. Trust us. And we are looking forward to announcing so many other laurels that will be coming after this one for you.
Thank you.
Great. So before we delve into the conversation around socio-cultural issues with pregnancy and labor, let's take a look at how you have been able to juggle things. As a mother, you have become a professor and you're just 50. How did you get to do this?
Thank you very much, and a happy Mother's Day in advance to all women. I think that a mother is not only a one that has given birth biologically, but a mother is any woman out there who has been able to take care of people, be it biological or otherwise. So to all women out there, happy Mother's Day. All right, so how did I get here? I've been a nurse since 1997. I trained at Kolebu Nurse and Midwifery Training College, and I joined the University of Ghana in 2001. So in 2001, I finished, but before I finished, I had my first child in 2000. So I was in the final year of my degree program and had my first child. So how did I navigate that, that stage? Right, so you have friends that you learn with. Some people are individual, me, myself, and myself alone. So when I was in level 4, okay, when I started the degree program, I had a discussion group. You know, when you are pregnant, you become tired easily. You become kind of lazy. Not lazy as in lazy, but what you can do if you are alone will be decreased when you have another life to take care of. So I had a group that I was learning with, and when I was pregnant, this study group helped me a lot to manage to keep up, okay? So for example, you are in a study group, you are pregnant, your feet is swollen. Instead of sitting like the way I'm sitting now, they help you to put your foot on something. Instead of you bending down to do the reading, they are reading, you are listening, you are discussing. And I was able to do this and still came up with the highest GPA in my class in 2001. So let me just say that at that time, my husband doesn't live with me. He lives in the north, I live in the south. So it's not as if I had spousal support at that time in my first pregnancy. Okay, so all the pregnancies, we have never lived together for say 3 months or no. It's just like short visits. So I crossed that bridge with support of friends, especially my study group mates. One is a current director of Nurse and Midwifery for the country, Eva Mensah. And then I also had 2 elderly colleagues. One retired as the chief nurse for Caphalopelvic Teaching Hospital, and the other one also retired as a chief nurse for Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So those were my constant study group members that we were learning together. So the masters also, I had my second child, so I got pregnant during the masters, and then so I delivered just after I had finished my thesis. Now, one good thing about my pregnancy history is that I don't have any vomiting, nausea, or anything. I don't have any challenges with my pregnancy. The only problem I'll have is that my foot will get swollen. And then I go through everyday life. It's just that you are tired easily, kind of. But unfortunately, I had to go through cesarean for all my 3 children. And the reason being that perhaps I'll talk about a little about how the whole process goes. But for now, I'll say that there's something we call Caphalopelvic Disproportion, which simply means that the outlets, the bone outlets, your pelvis, where your waist, your buttocks is, there's a space in the cavity of the bone where the baby lies with other organs, okay? So when you are pregnant, the baby, and you are due to deliver, the baby is supposed to descend through the outlets, so it's like a bowl with a hole inside there. So the baby is supposed to descend through the hole and come out to the outside world. And my outlet is smaller, so my baby's head, it's not as if my baby is extra big, but it's just that my baby's head is not able to pass through that hole. So we call it a disproportion.
Okay.
The head and the pelvis disproportion. So once that is diagnosed, it means that subsequent pregnancies, you can't push, I mean, the baby will not even descend. The baby will have to descend through that hole for the head to come to the perineum before you can push out, as when you are in labor, okay? So the head didn't even come to the level that can even be pushed. So I went into labor, let's say the first one, for instance. I went into labor the afternoon or evening of Wednesday, and then I had to stay in there to the next day, Thursday, before, I mean, it was confirmed that, hey, there's no way this baby's head is going to come out. So once I had the first cesarean, it was diagnosed, and the second and the third were all cesarean. So I had kind of normal pregnancy, no major issues, and then I go through cesarean and then have my baby. And the last one too, it's a PAD kind of story baby, and it's also the same. So if you ask me juggling, the juggling has to do, so because we are talking about motherhood, you know, I just want to stay there for a while. The juggling has to do with getting support. So I mentioned my group study mates during my master's, the same during my undergrad also. So study group, having people supporting you, working together with people help a lot when you are juggling pregnancy, mothering, schooling. Then my mother was alive then, so she stayed with me through until she passed. So she was there for me. So when I had a cesarean, 3 weeks down the line, I had to do exam at school. So I just leave the baby, express milk, breast milk, leave the baby with my mom and take off. My mother will take care of the baby, everything. So you need to have family support.
Okay.
So my mother was a huge support for me during the time of juggling, okay? And then you need to know how to plan and divide your roles. So you know that you are schooling, you are a mother. You should have a fridge and a freezer, kind of, because it is important that, so those days I was able to navigate because like I cook different things at a go and save them for the week. So you don't go and come back, you are tired, you are now going to prepare stew, soup, and all the things that go with it. So when you come back, you're just going to put on the additional, if it's rice, whatever, you add it to whatever you have. So I mentioned the group that you learn with. It's important. I mentioned the family support and the planning how to manage your things. So you don't overexert the energy in doing things. So if you are sweeping and mopping. It's not it's not every day that I can't mop my house because it's not dirty. So if you are doing every other day, it's fine. Some people even do 3 days because you need to keep the place in a way that you don't have to you put yourself, you know that there's nobody helping you. You are putting this rubbish here, that. But I was very, very lucky from the very beginning, undergrad level. I had a house help, and then the house help, she stayed with me for over 10 years.
Okay, you were very lucky to get a good one
then. I've been very lucky to get good ones through and through. I've been very, very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So she would go to the markets. So I don't have to go to the markets and all that. And so it helped my mother to also not overexert herself. You see, your mother is already old. So those of you who have mothers or elderly people living with you, you need to have another support for the physical work. If not, the person will be fed up and leave. Will give you some excuse and leave because the person is tired. So you need to get another support in terms of the chores, washing, cleaning, marketing, so that your mother or whoever is the elderly auntie or mother-in-law or whoever can have the eye for the child, because your main focus is the child, okay? And then another thing that helped me juggle is you see, when you are in school, you need to have some strength already. So you have to know what subjects am I good at. So when you are learning, the ones that you know you are struggling with, you give more attention to those ones, because you know that, for this particular subject, it was very, very easy for me. So the energy that I'll have to spend going over things I know already, let me review it and then go on to the one that is a little difficult for me. So perhaps maybe I'll end here for the way you can manage the schooling, the mothering, and the work, whatever you are doing.
Excellent.
But one last thing is that the child that you have, you need to know your child. You know, some children, once they have they wee or they poo, they'll cry and cry and cry. Some children, when they are hungry, they'll cry. Some children, so if you know your child, you are able to take care so you can have time, rather than standing hours trying to coax the child to stop crying. Because you know your child, one or two things you do, the child does keep quiet, and you can have time on your hands. So perhaps
great.
I can leave this.
Wonderful delivery. So we'll go for a quick commercial break. When we return, we'd like to find out from Professor the reason why certain ladies or certain women would just have to go through a cesarean. They can't go through the vaginal or the natural birthing. So when we return, we'll get to talk about that. Do not go away. And you are welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show, where we are discussing socio-cultural issues around pregnancy and labor. And before now, our professor mentioned something around the reason why some women are not able to go through the natural birth process. In her case, she mentioned that there was something around about the pelvic that she explained. So it's like a bowl, and if it's not able to get open or wide enough for the baby to come out, then you may have to go through a CS. And here is a case, we've always had people talking about the fact that, oh, if you have your baby through CS, then you're not a mother. You're not fit to be a mother. You are supposed to go through the natural birthing, because that's the only way to show that you're a Hebrew woman. If you've been hearing things like that, today we're going to be hearing from our professor who understand it better. Is that really supposed to be the case? So please take us through that. So aside the pelvic challenge, is there something else that is also going to contribute to women having to maybe go through a CS or a natural birth process?
Okay, thank you very much. So before we even come there, let me just take listeners to something briefly, then I'll come there. You know, before you are pregnant, first of all, you need to be healthy. So my young ladies who intend to have children in the future, please take good care of yourself. Alcohol, taking medications that can have side effects in certain things in your private parts or vagina, all those things may not help you if you want to have children in the future. Now, I always say that having a child is a gift from God, because when you have a relationship with your spouse or your partner, you are not even sure the outcome. It is the grace that makes you become pregnant. Now, the body is such that when you enter through your private parts, you enter the vagina, you go to the uterus, what the baby sleeps in. But conception doesn't occur in the uterus, it occurs in the tubes. So there are two tubes that connect to your ovary where you lay the eggs. So there are different parts of that tube. The mating or the fertilization of the ovum or the egg occurs in the middle part we call the ampulla, which is a little bigger. And then it travels back into the womb to get attached. Now, when you are a woman and you say menstruate, you see that there's always some flesh or tissue or clots in the menstrual flow. It's normal. That is what the baby would attach itself to. You know, the womb, the inside, every month prepares itself to accept the ovum that is fertilized, so the placenta can develop for the baby to grow. So if you don't get pregnant, it sheds, it kind of removes. So when you menstruate and your blood is very, very light, there's no tissues, you must be a little worried, because then it means that your uterus is not getting prepared for implantation, yes, for the baby. Okay, so now you get pregnant, and then fortunately it will move to the womb, to the sac. So the womb is like a pear with the bigger part up and the narrow, the hand of the pear down, which is the cervix. I want everybody to understand this, because if the pear is round and then the narrow part, when we are going to deliver, the narrow part is supposed to open for the baby in the pear to come out. Okay? So if you are asking me some of the things that happen and the woman would need cesarean.
Yes.
So I need to give this background so that when I'm explaining some of the things become easier. Let me also just say, for some women, unfortunately, instead of the baby moving from the tube into the pear, that is the uterus, it delays, and then it becomes ectopic pregnancy. And in that case, they must cut the tube. If not, you die, because you have internal bleeding. So if you're not lucky and you have tube 1 ectopic, tube 2 ectopic, they become sterile, because there's no connection between the egg, the ovary, and the womb again. So usually for those of us who go through the permanent type of family planning, they cut or tie, they ligate the two tubes so that there's no connection between the sperm and the egg anymore. But if you are going to, you have, unfortunately have ectopic pregnancy, that is the tubal one, then it means that if it's that 2, then there's trouble. So let's say that everything is normal. Now you have the baby implanting. The position of the placenta, the implantation, is also very, very critical. If you have your tube, your placenta or the baby attaching to the bigger part of the pear, there's no problem. But if it comes to the lower part, you know, as the baby grows, the placenta becomes bigger. If it comes to the lower part, then you bleed. Even with no activity at all, you start bleeding. That is why I always say that issues about pregnancy and labor is a miracle. So when I did my research and issues about religiosity and all those were coming in, I wasn't surprised, because how you even got pregnant is a miracle. Where the baby attached is a miracle. The baby developing into a normal human being without any defects is even another miracle. So when you have the baby attaching to the lower parts of the pear, let me just call it the pear, you can bleed even without any activity. So some women, no baby, no womb. When they get pregnant, the attachment of the placenta, we call it placenta previa. There are different types depending on how high or low it is. So for some, where it is attached, it's such that you cannot have the baby developing to term. So they had to, induce labor, and it will come and pass and go. Or instead of you have spontaneous abortion or something like that. Now everything has become normal, and then you are going to have the baby. I mentioned that for those of us with the pelvis problem, it's a bone, so it cannot expand. There's nothing, that can be done. If the exit of the pelvis, the bone, is smaller, there's no way your baby can descend through it. The bone cannot expand. It is the pear entrance, the handle of the pear, the cervix, that opens up. So for those of us like that, whatever prayer, there will be no difference. You go for it. For some people too, they have challenges with their different medical conditions. So for example, hypertension. So when you are pregnant, for some, the pregnancy induces the hypertension. So we call it pregnancy-induced hypertension. For some of us, you have the hypertension before you became pregnant. In that case, the doctors will assess you and would go for cesarean rather than a normal delivery.
Okay.
For some, you are already old before you became pregnant, elderly primates. So say you are 45 and above before you became pregnant for the very first time. This is a very, very precious baby. So after you have gone through all the assessments, some of the women will even say, "Doctor, I don't want anything to happen, so you just cut me and bring the baby out." It's also there. Others too, they have had multiple pregnancies and the uterus is now weak. You see, when you are going to have a normal delivery, the uterus is supposed to contract and retract. So when we say contract and retract, this is a normal contraction and it is a normal relaxation. But when it contracts and retracts, it contracts. In the retraction, it doesn't get to the normal length like that and kind of come down, and it's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. So at the end of the expulsion, the baby coming out with the placenta, the uterus, because of the retraction, is supposed to be like a ball. It's supposed to be tight. If not, you bleed to death. Once the muscles are relaxed, it means the blood vessels are open, you bleed to death. So that is why they give you even medications that will help the uterus to contract, to stop bleeding. Remember, I mentioned that the placenta would attach to the body of the uterus, the inner part, the endometrium. So when it's like that, it is communicating with the mother's blood, so the blood vessel communication. So if the uterus doesn't contract at the end of the expulsion, you bleed. And that can take you away. Okay. So we have mothers delivering at home, delivering on the road, in the car, wherever. It is a miracle for the uterus to contract at the end of normal childbirth. And now, so if somebody is afraid, it's normal to be afraid, but it is also normal that nothing will happen. The baby would come out normally, even if there's no midwife, there's nobody, you can deliver, take your baby and go away. Nothing will happen. But then, for some of the times you have complications setting in, and that is where the fear is. So you have the pelvic issues. You can also have a big baby, okay? The baby is, there's nothing wrong with the pelvis, but the baby is that big that is not coming out. They're also having the position of the baby. Normally, the baby is supposed to come out with the head. The baby is supposed to come out with the head. So if you have a transverse lie, the baby is not lying anterior posterior like the normal, like
with the head down.
Yeah, and you have the baby transverse lie
Across.
How can you, push that thing out? It's not possible. So you can go through a cesarean because of the poor position of the baby inside. So these are some of the reasons why it is important for a woman to go through cesarean because of problem one or the other.
Great. So that means that it has nothing to do with whether you are fit to be a mother or anything at all.
Not at all.
It's just a different way of having a child. That's it. Doesn't affect you in any way. So those of you who are a bit scared about, okay, I went to push, so I am a mother. You didn't push, you're not a mother. Please stop it from today, because our professor has made it very clear. They're just different ways of having the children. And each person, no matter how you brought yours out, you are still very fit to be a mother. We'll go for another commercial break. When we return, she is a researcher, and she's going to be telling us what it is she heard on the ground from people when it comes to their faith and some of our cultural practices. So you need to hear this. Do stay tuned. And you're welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices Show. I want to go to our Facebook page to acknowledge those of you who are already watching us. I see Nana Ya. She says, great show, watching you from Aguna Asafo. And Rosemary Salah Conifera says, Prof 1, I'm watching you from Lome. Whoa, Rosemary, thank you so much. I see Cross Yao Asamoah. He says, versatile Prof 1, watching you from Ho Teaching Hospital. Oh, amazing. And I'm seeing quite a number of people who are watching us from across Africa. I see a wave from, from Lome. I don't know if it's Rosemary herself, but I see another one from Dakar. I see from Madagascar. I see from Casablanca. You're all sending in your waves from Cairo, from Abuja, Enugu, Calabar, Nnewi, Zamfara, Jalingo. I see you all sending in your waves. Damaturu, all of you are in Nigeria, various states across Nigeria, and you've been sending in your waves. Thank you so much. Onitsha, I see you also sending in your waves. Coming down to Ghana, I see a lot of waves from a lot of waves are coming from her. So we have a lot of people watching our professor here all the way from Ho in the Volta region. I see from Accra, I see from Salt Pond, I see from Axim, Halfasini, I see from Tumu. I also see another wave coming in through from Ashanti region, Kumasi. Please keep the waves and the comments coming, okay? So let me not take much of our time. Let's go straight to ask our professor exactly what her thoughts were when she heard some of the confessions of people who were getting some kind of counsel from their spiritual leaders. So what did you find on the ground?
Okay, thank you very much. So the kind of research I do is what we call qualitative research. Qualitative researchers, we are interested in the worldview of the participants. So we can talk to you as an individual. We can organize a focus group discussion and other ways to get your own ideas, your own views, experiences, and then we analyze and present the story. So I am not a midwife, I'm a nurse. Before you become a nurse, you have to do midwifery, psychiatry, and all the other branches of healthcare before you qualify as a nurse, all right? So in one of my, and then because I'm a nurse educator, you take your students to the clinical area. In one of my rounds, I visited the labor ward at Kolebu, and I saw a woman with anointing oil. And I also saw another one with the sticker of the person's church, the pastor and the sticker, with her in the labor ward. So I asked myself, what are these doing here in the labor ward? What are they doing here? So I teamed up with a researcher in the religions department to write a proposal to investigate the religious practices regarding pregnancy and labor. And that study brought a number of papers that viewers can look up online. journals such as BMC and of pregnancy and childbirth. You can have some from reproductive health. They are online, open access, free. You can download it and read it. So in that work came a lot of revelations that blew my mind, because like I said, I didn't have any challenges with my pregnancy. It's only cesarean I'll go, and I didn't have to go anywhere. I remember my mom would always be scared, you know, would go to church, fast, pray for me. I myself was not involved in any of those. I go to church normally, but it's not about because of the cesarean section. So, first of all, there are a lot of religious artifacts that people use when they are pregnant and then during the labor. I spoke to the midwives, the women themselves. I spoke to traditional birth attendants and other people to just have a comprehensive understanding of what is going on. So I mentioned from the beginning that getting pregnant itself is a gift, it's a miracle. Going through the 9 months or so of pregnancy is a miracle. Because some people abort even at the 6 months, 3 months, whatever. But yours went through to the end. People have babies with deformities, but your baby is normal. It's a miracle, okay? So I kind of agree that people are afraid, or people think that they must do something extra to get this normal process to the end. So religious artifacts, first of all, depending on the person's religious orientation, the artifacts differ. So those who are Catholics will use their rosary and other Catholic artifacts. Those who are also the charismatic Pentecostal will now do the anointing oil, and those who go to different churches where there's this kind of prophecy, revelation, kind of. Some had water that the pastor or the religious leader prayed over. So it's a kind of holy water, blessed water with them. Some used it on the abdomen, some drank some. It was okay. But the one that I was very surprised is the one that the woman went to the supposed religious minister. He fetched sand from the floor, prayed over it, poured it in the, normal bottle, vortic bottle water, and gave it to her to drink and take home and use. The infection, the microorganisms, the hygiene aspects, if I'm the one, I would not drink. I would not even go to such a person in the first place. So I go to church, I'm a Baptist, yes, but all I'm trying to say is that if you are listening to me and you are a woman and you are afraid, kind of, please be conscious that it's not all the supposed religious leaders who are using the Spirit of God or the Word of God to work. So if you go somewhere, you are going to be given something unhygienic, please advise yourself. I wouldn't kind of ask that you drink such a thing. So this woman took it. And then I mentioned the number of reasons why people would have to go through cesarean. Whether you pray, whatever, my bones will not open. The bones are bones. But some were so much afraid that the religious leader would tell her that if you allow cesarean, you die. So there's one particular woman I'll never forget in my entire research career. She refused cesarean. So she went into labor. Instead of going to the hospital, she went to the prayer camp, the regional leader, okay?
To be delivered of the baby?
Oh, yeah. They do it every day. And instead of coming early, she wasted a lot of time. By the time she got to the hospital, the uterus had ruptured. and the baby was gone. I mean, the baby died in utero. Oh. There was another one also. She went there, the uterus didn't rupture, but the baby died in the uterus. Instead of coming early, she didn't come, the baby started decomposing. And there's something we call DIC, which is disseminated intravascular coagulation. When you get this particular problem, the blood refused to clot. So she came in, she was okay before she came, and then they expelled the decomposing baby, kind of. And unfortunately, she got a DIC. The doctors tried all they could. They gave blood. I mean, when you are pumping the blood in, the blood is coming out.
It's not coagulating.
No, and she passed. You don't have to put yourself, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the prayer camp, please. Don't misquote me. I'm only saying that for some of the things that we are supposed to go through, the best place is the hospital. The prayer support can be added, okay? All the fasting, the prayer, we are praying, yes, it can be added. But once you know that, oh, the scan says your baby is extra big because you know you are a diabetic. Your baby, macrosomic baby, very, very big baby. Or the baby is lying transverse, has not moved to the appropriate position yet. Or like myself, your pelvic bones are the outlet is too narrow. Please, just come. And let me also add that the cesarean is not fearful. Now, we don't make you sleep. We inject your back, okay? So you don't feel anything from your waist, down your legs. So you can see, you can hear, you can talk during the surgery. So the baby will be taken off. Some of the hospitals, if the baby has no problem, they will give the baby whilst you are on the theater table beside you or on your chest, and they suture you up, and then you are out there. A few of the cases, they will give you general anesthesia. Even that, it's not something that you should be afraid of. In my practice, like I said, I'm not a midwife, I'm not a theater nurse, but what I went through before going to the university, I haven't seen a woman dying on the theater table yet. Usually when they will pass, it is because of complications after, or they themselves sent themselves somewhere and it was too late. But it's not because of the anesthesia or the surgery. So maybe I can end here for now.
All right, so we'll go for our final commercial break. When we return, we'll take our final words, and it will be based on the fact that a lot of us are afraid of pregnancy. We feel that, okay, something terrible is going to happen, so, okay, I don't want to get pregnant. We have our professor who's going to talk to us actually, briefly about pregnancy and why we should not be afraid. Do not go away. And you're welcome back. So if you just joined us, well, it's about time for us to wrap up the show, but we're not going to let Professor take leave of us without her talking to both men and women, because we know this is our show. Even though it's for women, we have a lot of families, spouses, partners sitting together and watching. We would like to hear from her exactly what it is, around pregnancy that should get people not to be scared. Is it a normal thing, like, to carry a baby and, just have the baby? Should we have reasons to be afraid?
Well, I'm sure also watching me is a man and a woman out there who are also praying for the fruits of the womb. I'm not a prophet though, but I pray that the one who answered all prayers will answer your prayer.
Amen.
If you have your spouse pregnant, it means that you have a responsibility to help her go through the pregnancy and the childbirth. So some women, when they are pregnant, they desire certain things. So you help her to, get what she desires. Some people want ice cream. Some people want a particular flavor of something. You just help her. Some women too, when they become pregnant, they become a little shall I say, easily irritated. Some would vomit, some would, you know, have a lot of saliva and will be spitting throughout the 9 months. Others will just have a few months and then they are okay. It depends on every woman and the history of pregnancy. If you are asking me whether it is normal, it's not, shouldn't be afraid. Some people don't even get pregnant. I mean, like, it's not, they are not even getting like 8 years, so 10 years of marriage or more, nothing is coming. I mentioned from the beginning that it's a gift, it's a miracle to get pregnant. So if you are having challenges, please visit the hospital, let them assess you and see what can be done, because we are not talking about assisted birth today, but there are a lot of ways that can be used to help couples to get a baby. So we are talking about the normal ones today. The normal ones, like I said, it's just a gift, so just pray that you get a gift. Now during the 9 months, the different stages, the different quarters in the 9 months have different challenges. The first 3 months, the woman may be urinating frequently. It's normal because the pair or the womb inside there is becoming bigger. So it's occupying the same space that you have your bladder that stores the urine, the intestine that stores your feces and all that. So when the pair is becoming bigger, it kind of puts some pressure on the surrounding organs. So the volume, the space in the bladder becomes a little smaller, so you'll be urinating frequently. In the second trimester onwards, it rises into the abdomen, so that is why you see the woman's abdomen becoming big, and then towards the end of the pregnancy it kind of descends again and then it comes out. So the uterus comes into the abdomen during pregnancy, and then after delivery it goes back into the pelvis. That is where it's supposed to be. If you are pregnant, you should also exercise. So it's as if you are going to urinate and somebody is occupying the urinal or something, so you hold onto your bum. You kind of have to do this to strengthen your perineal muscles. You need the muscle strength to push at the end of the pregnancy or to come back to your pre-pregnancy state. So you need to learn how to exercise your perineal muscles. So it's like you want to wee-wee and there's no space, so you are holding on to we call it Kegel's exercise, and it's very good for women to keep their perineal muscles. I didn't go too much into diet because of different socio-economic status of women. If you are a midwife and you are educating women to eat during pregnancy, you need to first know their income level. So you can be realistic in the examples of things that you give. Now, one thing that I need to draw attention to is that during pregnancy, the baby is sharing your nutrients, sharing your blood content and all that. So you need to eat food that can help the baby grow to develop tissue. So protein sources are very, very important. Vitamin sources, iron, calcium sources are all very important for the pregnant woman. But for most of us, when we are pregnant, the appetite, we don't have the appetite, but you have to force yourself to eat because of the growing baby. And then when we go to the hospital, they'll give us some medications. Let's take it because it will help to boost the mineral or the vitamin contents in the body. But it is important for us to take roughage, food with roughage, so that we can easily eliminate our whatever, excreta, whatever. Because during pregnancy, the hormone that is secreted kind of contribute to constipation. It relaxes the muscle, progesterone relaxes the muscle. So if you don't eat roughage sources, you can be constipated during pregnancy. So you exercise, you walk around, you eat what you have to eat based on your affordability, and at the end of the day, you have to visit the hospital so that the nurse or the midwife can take care of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. This conversation definitely has to happen again. and we'll let Professor come back to continue with the conversation with us, okay? However, I know a lot of you are glued to your TV set wanting to know what we're doing for Mother's Day. Well, we have the opportunity to give away 3 beautiful prizes to 3 people who are going to be able to send us messages on our ETV page telling us what makes your mother, you know, the best mom in the whole world. You send her picture and then you tell us what makes your mom the best mom in the whole world. It should not be so lengthy, just something like about 100 words will not be bad, okay? Just send it to us and then we'll check it out. When we juggle through it, if yours comes out to be outstanding, we are going to be rewarding you right on our very special Mother's Day show on Sunday. So we need 3 people to win these special prizes. So reach out to us on ETV Ghana's Facebook page or through our phone lines, all right? So thank you so much, Professor, once again for coming to grace our studio and the show. So for those of you who are now joining us for the very first time, do not worry. Go on our Facebook page. You'll see the show over there. We'll upload it by tomorrow on YouTube, and it will be everywhere. So until we meet next week, do enjoy the rest of our interesting lineup for you. Bye-bye.